Every Day a Better You, a podcast that's not about being better than the person next to you, but being better than the version of yourself a day prior. Your host, Farid Johnson, accompanied by my co-host, Henri.
Hello, everyone. This is Henri. A lot of people know me as Boo. Every Day a Better You.
Welcome to another episode of Every Day a Better You. Remember, this is a podcast about not trying to be better than the person sitting next to you, but about being the best version of the person that stares back in the mirror at you each and every day. My name is Farid, aka Flip.
I'm Boo. What's up?
So today we're going to be diving into a little bit about foster care, but before we get into that, as in every episode, we had the gem of last episode. Boo, what was the gem of last episode?
So the gem of last episode was to do something that gets you in a positive state of mind. It could be something simple as taking a walk in the park or taking a ride, a road trip somewhere. Something simple.
All right, so.
And by the way, I'm glad you brought that up. You want to know what I did by myself?
I do.
After calling you to no answer, I ran hills. Did you remember that call? It was in the morning, around 9 a.m. Do you remember that call?
I mean, I might have been on the phone with Claudio or something like that. I don't know what to tell you, but my leg was hurting.
Okay. Well, I ran about 8 hills. Morning. It was nice outside. Put me in a good mood. Wish I had company, but that's how it goes sometime, I guess.
Well,
what did you do, by the way?
I think you'll give me a pass because
better be a good one. Better be something good for you to get a pass on this.
My third child, Esme.
Absolutely.
Esme is now riding bike by herself, and we've been practicing riding on the street. So she's like, Daddy, can just me and you ride to the park? So I rode to the park with Esme on a bike.
Okay. That definitely, you do definitely get a pass for that. Definitely. That was a good one. When I see Esme later, I'll make sure I ask her if that's what you did.
She might punch you in the leg before she gives you an answer.
That's okay. That's okay. So, this episode, we're going to get a little deep, As you stated, we're going to talk about foster care, okay? So, a lot of people don't know. My co-host here was in the foster care system for some years. So, my first question to you is, how did that come about? How did you actually get into foster care? What led up to that?
So, I don't know if there's new viewers here. Like in a couple episodes ago, we kind of talked about having a type of life that drugs, alcoholism, all of those different things, violence, abuse, right? So growing up, I had it all. My mother was my mother, right? I love my mother to death, but she had her issues, right? Not everyone's perfect, and when you're growing up in that kind of environment, you just think that, this is what's supposed to happen, right? So we would get beat all the time. My mom was addicted to alcohol, drugs. So that the outlet that we had, one of them, early on, I remember being in kindergarten and getting snatched out of kindergarten class. Like, what's going on? And like to go to therapy. So that became a weekly thing for me and my little sister. We would go to therapy every week. So we would tell the therapist sometimes these things that are happening. Early on, my mom caught on that we were telling her those things because, it's supposed to be confidential, but when certain things happen, they have to report it. So my mom used to threaten us. You say anything to Miss Goldfeder, what's her name, God rest her soul, because she was another one of those people that, helped me in life.
So you said something that resonated home with me. When you grow up in certain situations, you tend to normalize things that's not normal. I can definitely relate to that. So can you give me an example of something that you normalize that would not be normal to those that doesn't have a background similar to ours?
Oh, easy. You you you're in trouble, but you didn't really do anything, right? So then your mother says, "Reed, go in the bathtub and take a bath." Okay, and she's standing there while you're taking that bath, and she's waiting. As soon as you get out, and she has an extension cord in her hand, just because she wants it to hurt more when she hits you with it. Like that's something that was normalized for me. Like, oh, this is just what everyone goes through, right? So, we're telling these kind of stories to our therapist, and her mouth is like open because I've been in foster care twice, right? Once when I was in third grade, and then once when I was older in ninth grade.
So these events were when you were in third grade that actually led you to foster care the first time, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was third grade and before. It was like leading up, right? Like because this is like years of us telling the therapist like these things are happening, and then having to stop saying everything was okay because my mom was threatening us, saying if I find out you told the therapist something, then I'm coming after you even more, right? So it's like we don't want those problems, right? So I'll never forget we had a toy box. Right, I'll never forget this toy box. We're playing in the toy box, but it's not a toy box. It's like just like a barrel, right? Like some kind of canister, and that's where our toys were. So me and my sister are playing. Yo, they knock on the door. Police, CPS, right? Open the door. My mom screaming like they come in, scoop us up, and take it. It's me, my little sister Aziza, and my brother Celine. Take us. Just like no, I can still see my mom like with like reaching out. You know what I mean? Take us, right? I end up in the Bronx. My sister ends up staying like in the hospital because she had some stuff going on. So the doctor did not want her out of his sight, and my brother ended up in Whitney Young, in Yonkers.
So you say you ended up in the Bronx. Where about?
You know how you go through stuff and you make yourself kind of forget. I couldn't tell you the street. I couldn't tell you the names of the people that took me in. All I remember from being there is I can visualize the school that I went to because of the stairwell. And when I went to that foster home, I got to have my own box of cereal.
So that's what you remember, your own box of cereal.
That's what I remember. And I remember coming home, my older brother Renato picked me up. And remember I told you I used to specialize in thievery. I had stolen a gold ring from one of the people that lived in this foster home. Because I remember he picked me up, and we went to the doctor's office to get my sister. My brother still wasn't coming home yet. But that's the memories. Like the cereal, the gold ring, because it fell out of my sock in my brother's car, and he was like, "What the hell is that?" I was like, "Nothing," right? and being taken away. But the all my time there, I can't tell you anything about it. Like I've been trying. I even thought about getting hypnotized and have it come up like that because I want to know. Like I have no recollection of anything, just Cookie Crisp because that was the cereal. That was my box.
That was a good cereal, and this is why it was so good. You didn't need milk.
You didn't.
You could get a handful, put them in your pocket, and walk outside. That's it.
That's it. But I went from the government cheese, government cereals, the no frills Honey Smacks that didn't taste like Honey Smacks, they just taste like cardboard, and now I get to have my own box of cereal. Like that was the highlight of that first time foster care for me.
Okay, so now how long were you in the Bronx before you came back to your home in Yonkers, to that situation?
I was in the Bronx for about 6-7 months, long time.
Okay, so you were in the Bronx 6-7 months, and you remember just the cereal and the wow.
I don't mean to laugh right now, but if you don't laugh at your pain,
oh yeah.
But yeah, that's what I got for you. In the school, I can tell if we were in front of the school, I can tell you what it looked like right now. I can talk to you about the stairwells, but my whole time there, and it makes sense. Is traumatic. I'm thinking about my mother. I don't know what's going on. I'm thinking about my sister was my ride or die. That's my best friend. And it's my first time in life that I'm not with her every single day, right? So it's like, it's just one of those things where it just goes away. That's all I could think about was them and my brother. Like, what's going on? Like I have nothing, right? Like without them, even though I was abused, I was left home alone. I'm walking to Getty Square. This is back way in the 80s, going past drug dealers and stuff at 6 years old, my man, right? Like, This is why we were taken away in the first place. But yet I'm in a better situation at the time, but I'm still thinking about being in that other environment because that's where my family was. So it's all psychological, messed up. That's what I have to say about that. And that's just the first time.
So, okay, after the first time, after your 6 or 7 months, you come back home. What was the atmosphere and the mood, the demeanor when you came back home after your 6 or 7 months away in the foster care?
So you think it would be like love, embrace, oh my God, you got my kids back. No, my mom looked at us and said, that's what happens when you run your mouth.
Wow.
And kept it moving. It was mad at us. Mad at me and my little sister. Mad.
So, understanding a little bit about psychology, right? In the reverse psychology, I don't really think she was mad at you and the kid. I think it was more about the situation, and she did feel bad, but that's all she had to say. That's all she. What else could she say? Because it was her fault.
I don't know. She could have showed it in her actions. She continued to, like the abuse was still there. And sometimes while she was hitting us, she's like, yeah, and don't you ever call things on me again. Right? So I'm pretty sure she was mad at us. So I said, that's the first time. So you still go through life like that and hit that, like nothing changed, boo. Nothing changed. Right? So now we're going to fast forward to ninth grade. Okay. Now, we just had gotten back.
So you came back in the end of third grade or beginning of fourth grade?
In the third grade.
In the third grade. Okay, so you said nothing changed. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So in that time frame, you had your outlets that we spoke about, right?
Right. The only thing that changed, like in that time, like we were homeless for a period of time. But again, that's for another episode.
Okay. All right. So you came back. Okay, now you're going through the same things. And I would say this, you know what else changed? You learned how to deal with things a little different, right? Because as you get a little older, you evolve a little. Now you know how to deal with things like, okay, she's probably going to do this. You learned her behavior, you know? So you adjust a little, the best you could, As you get older, you make friends maybe that don't live in the building. You can go stay at their house a little bit. Because those were things that I did too, you know? So ninth grade now, which high school again?
I'm Roosevelt High School in Yonkers.
Yes. Okay, so now how long were you there before the second round?
So I was in high school in Roosevelt until January. That's when we left because my little sister, again, like I said, I'm an open book. My little sister was born with HIV, right? So we went through the Make-A-Wish program, went to Disney World, right? On Make-A-Wish, right? Happy times.
You know, I've never been to Disney World yet to this day. That's sad, but go ahead. I didn't mean.
Nah, it's a good spot. We go all the time.
Yeah, I know. You were OG. You went when you was.
Yeah. So we go through Make-A-Wish the whole time. Disney's supposed to be the best place on earth, right? She was drinking the entire time, embarrassing us everywhere we went. Right? Fine, whatever. We get back. We're downtown Yonkers in the square. Right? Me and my sister we're in a bank. We're sitting on a ledge. The table like collapsed. We laugh and stuff like that. My mom gets mad at us. No, stay down. Like, you know, she's thinking, I'm gonna sue the bank. You guys act like you're hurt, right? We're gonna call an ambulance, whole 9 yards. We don't want to do that. Yo, she whipped I said I wouldn't curse, but ass, bro. She whipped our ass and in the street.
In public. That's how it was. I got a few of those myself. But in those days, you did stuff like that. But what was the repercussion of that?
Well, we had it was a Wednesday. We had therapy that day. And she was like, I'm not buying you your first down coat. Remember first down coats?
Yeah.
She was going to get me one because it was wintertime, right? I'm not buying you that after beating her ass. Now go see Miss Goldfeder. You better not tell her what happened, right? So I was fed up, though. I was in ninth grade still getting beat like that, right? So we go to therapy, tell Miss Goldfeder everything. And I was like, if it happens again, I'm running away. We go back to her boyfriend's house on Buena Vista in Yonkers. And she's telling him the story, drinking and stuff like that, and then punches me in the face while she's telling him the story.
So you come in the house. She's in the midst of explaining the situation that happened. And you catch your left hook.
Right.
Right hook.
I look at my sister, grab her. We go back to my therapist. We call Fred and Kathy, who were my foster parents, who were like my real parents. Like they're angels, right? Like my life doesn't happen the way it happens without them.
So Fred and Kathy, when did they come into the picture? When did
They were volunteers. So my brother was in a group home in Children's Village. Again, another episode, right?
Right.
He's in a group home. They become his volunteers, and they eventually take him in foster care. So I met them when I was in 7th grade. They used to have us come up there on the weekends and stuff like that, build a relationship with us so we can continue to have a relationship with my brother. So Ms. Goldfeder calls Fred and Kathy. They come down. They get us that night. The next day, probably one of the hardest days of my life, because we had to sit there in the Department of Social Services and tell these people that we don't want to be with our mother. And she's crying and everything. And like it's just like I got flashbacks from the first time in 3rd grade. And it's like I almost was like, nah, we'll just go back. But I look at my little sister and I was like, she deserves better than any of this. And here we have these people that want to help us out. And I'm not going back to that situation until you get help.
So it's almost a thing where, I mean, you were a young man, but you learned how to deal with that stuff. You had to look at your little sister and said, nah. Because as you stated, you were right there about to say, all right, we'll stay, Ma. You know?
You notice my little sister passed away when she was 19, right? But I live, everything I do is in her vein, right? So the decisions that I make, I'm like, what would my sister think about that? How would she benefit from that? The way I run my school, like this, everything is just like it's about her. So yeah, I learned how to deal with that because she's the one that needed to like more protection. Like me, I try to think I would think I could handle myself back then and stuff. But my sister, she deserved more than anything. And like the things that she had to go through in life, she didn't need any hard time. So I did everything in her name.
Okay, so did she go with you to Frank and Kathy?
Yeah, she was with us with Fred and Kathy. They loved her. Everyone always, like, people like me, right? They love me, but they love Aziza. Like, if I wish you had the opportunity to meet her, because it's just one of those things where it's like you're looking at a living angel, right? That was my little sister. They loved her, right? So yeah, she was with us, and then we ended up, some things happened. Then we ended up going to a group home, right? Lost touch with Fred and Kathy, and then got back in touch a couple of years later when I was in college, and then the rest is history. Like those are my guardian angels.
So when you said things happened with Fred and Kathy.
Yeah,
where you had to relocate.
Yeah. So what I didn't know at the time, which they told me later in life, and I wish they told me back then, was that my mom was calling them. When we were there, my mom was harassing them every day, leaving messages day and night. I want my kids back, things like that. Now, Fred and Kathy, they were so gracious, and like they didn't want to put a stain on her name at all. They never told us. So they let us believe that they were the reasons why we had to go to the group home. But they just couldn't like continue to deal with my mother.
So, okay, so she was calling saying she wants you back, but she didn't know that she wasn't going to get you back in the condition that she was in. She didn't realize that.
No, she didn't care. She was like, those are my kids. I want them back, right? She didn't care about the system. She didn't care about any of that. So then it got to the point where Fred and Kathy, they had to let us go. And like, I understand that now. I didn't understand it then. I understand it now because they finally told us when we were, told me. My little sister wasn't there, but when I was an adult, and I cried, and I was like, why you let me go years of not talking to you? And they're like, well, that was better than you continuing to like hate your mom because of it. Because I didn't know.
But little do they know, you was already at that point. If they would have told you that, you would have said, yeah, that sounds like my mother.
Yep. Yeah. So, but God bless them. So now here's the thing. I can tell you, and we run out of time, but I can tell you, I couldn't remember third grade foster care. I can tell you everything about them. I can tell you from the day we walked in, this is when I was a big Shaquille O'Neal fan, and they bought me Orlando Magic bed set. They turned a home office into a bedroom for me. They turned a dining room into a bedroom for my little sister.
Wait, you had your own room?
It was probably like half the size of this, but it was mine.
Dude, you know it's a big deal. You know how we came up. You know it's a big deal.
I never took any of that for granted. I never wanted to leave. My brother, on the other hand, he had that years before us and didn't really like accept it or take advantage of it or use it in a positive way. Me and my little sister was like, what? Like we're in a house? There's a driveway? There's a basketball court in the driveway?
Any kid that came up the way we did will recognize that and say, wait. What, you want me to sleep in the basement? Oh, I got my own room? You know, so, you know, it's kind of sad that your brother, older brother, right? Salim's older brother, that he couldn't recognize, you know what I mean, what he had, you know? So from the group home, you just persevered, went on through high school. Where'd you finish high school?
Yeah, I finished Hastings High School, went to Manhattanville College, have 2 master's degrees. I'm in school right now for my doctorate. You know, like you take those situations and you know you don't want to be in those situations. You know you want better for your family, and you just kind of move on. What else are you gonna do?
That's the point of this podcast right here.
Exactly. And then speaking about that, so how I turn that into present day, right now, my wife and I, we do a lot of donations, right? But more specifically related to like trying to take a kid in. I have 3 daughters, so I can't adopt the child right now or be a foster parent at this moment. But what we do is there's programs where you can like adopt the child and pay for like school clothes, and they never know who it came from. At Christmas time, you sponsor a couple of kids and you buy them Christmas presents. They give you like the ages and the gender, and you buy them presents, clothes, whatever. So we do that every single year. Funnier story or a cool story is one day, and this happens often, but one day I'm in Port Chester at Popeyes. If you remember you gotta try this chicken sandwich.
Absolutely. There were lines outside of Popeyes. There were lines outside the... Yeah.
Well, I was like 2 or 3 years late. I still needed to try that chicken sandwich.
I never had it yet. How was it?
Bro, it was all right. Okay. So I'm in there, right? I order my stuff, and there's these 3 kids behind me about to order. And then you see them counting change, right? And the guy's giving them a hard time. You don't have enough money. You can't have that right now. Flashback. Don't do that around me, right? So I look at the Popeyes attendant. I'm like, those 3 kids, their meals are on me. And they look at me like, wait, like just a sandwich, or we get a drink too? I was like, you get drink, you get fries, you pick any meal that you want, it's on me, right? And the worker was upset that I was doing that. Now, I don't know the history of these kids and that worker, but I do know those kids had 3 meals on me, and I did not leave until I saw them get their meals, because I didn't know what was going to go down based on that guy's face. So those are the things that I do, because I'll never be able to replicate or emulate what Fred and Kathy did, but God knows I'm going to continue to try my best to do whatever I can for anyone that I see in need. Special program, I'm your guy. Donation, I'm your guy. Kid in need, I'm your guy. Because I don't think I can go on in life without being that person after.
Right. It resonates with you. You know what I mean? I understand that totally.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. That was a lot, Farid. But heartfelt. We need to switch the tone a little bit. So I'll let you do the gym of the week.
All right. So on the spot, gym of the week. So we talked about that chicken sandwich. I wanted to try something new. I know it's 2 or 3 years late. But that gave me an idea. Why the gym of this week, why don't you go out there and try something new, something you've never done. I'm not saying go out there and go skydiving, but, put yourself in a situation that might be a little uncomfortable for you and just try something new and see what happens, see how it makes you feel.
I agree. Because one thing about the comfort zone, nothing grows there. Right? That's a good one, right? You like that?
At all. Nothing. Yeah. Nothing grows when you're in your comfort zone. So thank you for listening to the latest episode of Everyday a Better You. Remember, a podcast about real stories.
And real results.
Every day a better you.
Make it a great one.